Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Horizon's Edge, staring at the massive object floating in the darkness ahead. After 3 months of traveling through the Kepler 442 system, they had finally found something that made the long journey worthwhile. The thing was huge, bigger than any ship humanity had ever built, and it looked alive. "What do you think it is?" asked Dr. Lisa Carter, the mission scientist who studied alien life. She pressed her face against the viewing window, her breath fogging the glass as she tried to get a better look. "I don't know," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. As the mission commander, he had to stay calm even when his heart was racing. "But it's definitely not natural. Look at those curves and the way the surface moves." The object was unlike anything in their databases, stretched for miles, with a surface that seemed to shift and pulse like breathing. Parts of it glowed, with a soft blue light that traveled across its hull in slow waves. And Rodriguez, their chief engineer, was running every scan they had. "Commander, you need to see this," Sam called from his station. His voice was tight with excitement and worry. "The scans are picking up massive energy readings from inside that thing. And sir, the energy patterns don't match anything we know about." Jake walked over to Sam's station and looked at the readings. The numbers made no sense. Whatever power source was inside that object was beyond human technology by centuries, maybe longer. "Is it dangerous?" Jake asked. "I can't tell. The energy is contained, but there's so much of it. If it wanted to hurt us, we wouldn't stand a chance." Dr. Carter joined them at the station. "Commander, look at these life sign readings. This isn't just a ship. It's alive. The whole thing is one giant organism." Before Jake could respond, every screen on the bridge flickered. Red warning lights flashed as their communication system activated on its own. A voice came through the speakers, speaking in broken English with an accent that sounded like music. "Please, come inside of me, human. I am alone, so very alone." The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the speakers as if they could see who was talking. The voice came again, sadder this time. "I have been waiting so long. You are the first to come. Please do not leave me alone again." Jake felt his training kick in. First contact protocols were clear. Stay at a safe distance, try to communicate, and report back to Earth before taking any action. But something about the voice made him hesitate. It sounded desperate, almost crying. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth ship Horizon's Edge," he said into the communication system. "Who are you? What do you want?" "I am Zephora. I am the ship, and this ship is me. I have been drifting in the cold space for so long. Your people, they feel warm to me, different from others who came before. Please, I need help." "Commander, this is incredible. We're talking to an alien intelligence, a living ship. This could change everything for humanity. This could also be a trap," Jake replied. But he couldn't stop thinking about how sad the voice sounded. Sam was checking his readings again. "Commander, the energy levels are dropping. Whatever this Zephora is, she's getting weaker." "Human, Commander," the voice came again, weaker than before. "I know you are afraid. Your people have not met others like me before, but I am dying. Life force fades. I have knowledge, technology, warnings that your people need, but I cannot give them unless you trust me." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Dr. Carter's eyes were bright with curiosity and hope. Sam looked worried but interested. The rest of the crew waited for his decision. "What kind of warnings?" Jake asked. "Danger comes to your galaxy? The same danger that destroyed my people long ago? It sleeps now, but it will wake. Your people have something special, something my people did not have. You might be able to stop what we could not." The communication fell silent for a moment, then continued. "I know this is hard to believe, but I am alone, Commander Jake Morrison. I have been alone for 50,000 of your years. I felt your ship from far away because your people shine differently than others. You have hope. You have the will to fight when others would give up." Jake closed his eyes and thought. Every rule said to stay back, call for backup, and let the politicians decide what to do. But those rules were written by people who had never met a dying alien asking for help. "Commander," Dr. Carter said quietly, "she's right about one thing. We are different. We've survived wars, disasters, and every challenge our planet threw at us. Maybe that's exactly what she needs. And maybe that's exactly what will get us. All killed, Jake replied. The alien voice spoke one more time, so quiet they could barely hear it. I understand your fear. But please, remember that I chose to ask instead of taking. I could have pulled your ship inside me the moment you arrived. Instead, I asked, does that not show you who I am? Jake realized she was right. Something that powerful could have forced them to come aboard. Instead, it was begging. He made his decision. Dr. Carter, Sam, get ready for an away mission. We're going aboard. Sir, are you sure? Sam asked. No, I'm not sure about anything. But that voice doesn't sound like it belongs to something that wants to hurt us. And if she's telling the truth about this danger coming to our galaxy, then we need to know more. Dr. Carter smiled. This is why I joined the Exploration Service. It's to meet the unknown and learn from it. As they prepared to leave their ship, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Not just for them, but for all of humanity. The alien had said humans were different, special somehow. He hoped she was right because something told him they were going to need every advantage they could get. Jake Morrison checked his suit one more time before stepping into the transport pod. Dr. Lisa Carter and Sam Rodriguez were already strapped in, their faces showing a mix of fear and excitement. The alien ship loomed ahead of them, its surface still pulsing with that strange blue light. Remember, we stay together, Jake said into his helmet radio. If anything goes wrong, we get back to this pod fast. Understood, Commander, Lisa replied. She was holding a scanner that would record everything they saw inside the alien vessel. The transport pod moved closer to the ship's surface. As they approached, a section of the hull began to change. The solid surface opened like a flower, creating a docking bay that seemed to grow just for them. That's not possible, Sam whispered. Metal doesn't move like that. It's not metal, Lisa said. Reading her scanner, some kind of living tissue, but it's stronger than steel and more flexible than rubber. The pod docked with a soft thud. Jake opened the hatch and stepped into the alien ship. The air was breathable, which surprised him. The walls around them glowed with soft patterns of light that moved like slow lightning. Hello, humans, the voice of Zephyr spoke around them. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. Welcome inside me. I know this is strange for you. Jake looked around the chamber they were in. Were curved and smooth with no sharp edges anywhere. Everything looked grown rather than built. Where are you? Can we see you? You are seeing me, Zephora replied. I am the walls, the floors, the lights. All of this is my body. But I can show you something that might be easier for you to understand. The far wall began to change. It formed into the shape of a person, but not quite human. The figure that emerged was tall and graceful, with smooth skin that glowed faintly. Her face was beautiful but alien, with large eyes that seemed to hold great sadness. This is how my people looked, Zephora said through the figure. Before we became one with our ships, Lisa stepped forward, her scanner recording everything. Your people turned themselves into ships, not turned into, became one with. We faced a great danger that threatened all life in the galaxy. The only way to fight it was to merge our consciousness with living vessels. We became the Vorthok Guardians. The figure gestured, and the walls around them showed images like a movie. Jake saw beings that looked like Zephora, living on beautiful worlds with crystal cities and floating gardens. Then the images changed. To show something horrible, black shapes that seemed to eat light itself, consuming entire solar systems. The void swarm, Zephora said. They come from the spaces between galaxies. They eat everything. Planets, stars, even the space around them. They turn everything into nothing. Sam was studying the walls with his equipment. Commander, the technology here is incredible. The power systems, the materials, everything is hundreds of years ahead of what we can do. My people fought the swarm for 1,000 years, Zephora continued. We won, but the cost was everything. We had to sacrifice our physical forms to become guardians. living ships that could fight the swarm and protect the galaxy. Jake watched the images on the walls. It showed the Vorthok people entering chambers, inside their ships, then merging with the vessels themselves. Why are you alone? What happened to the other Guardians? The final battle was 50,000 years ago. He drove the swarm back to the void between galaxies. But my people knew the swarm would return someday. The other Guardians chose to follow the swarm into the void, to watch and wait, to give warning when it came back. But you stayed, Lisa said. I was damaged in the last battle. I could not make the journey. So I stayed here, drifting, healing, waiting for someone who could carry on the duty of the Guardians. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. You want us to become like you? No, Zephyra said quickly. Your people are different. You have something my people lost long ago. You have the ability to grow and change. My people became too focused on duty and sacrifice. We forgot how to adapt. The images on the walls changed again, showing human history. Jake saw wars, disasters, and great achievements. He saw humans rebuilding after destruction, finding new ways to solve problems. Your people never give up, Zephyra said. When faced with impossible odds, you find new ways to fight. You take what others create and make it better. This is what the galaxy needs now. The swarm is coming back, Lisa said. It wasn't a question. Yes, my sensors can detect the signs. Distant galaxies going dark. The swarm has grown stronger during its time in the void. The old Guardian ways will not be enough this time. Sam was examining a section of the wall that had opened to show complex machinery inside. This is biotechnology like nothing we've ever seen. Living computers, organic power sources, weapons that think for themselves. All of this can be shared with your people, Zephyra said, but not as conquerors taking spoils. As partners working together. Jake looked at his team. Lisa was practically vibrating with excitement at the scientific possibilities. Sam was already thinking about how human engineering could work with alien technology. But Jake was thinking about the bigger picture. What exactly are you asking us to do? I am asking you to let me bond with some of your people. Not to change them into me, but to create something new. Human creativity and adaptability combined with Vorthok knowledge and technology. Together, we might find new ways to fight the swarm. Bonding? Jake asked. A joining of minds. Your consciousness would remain your own, but you would also share in mine. You would gain access to my knowledge and abilities, while I would gain your human perspective and innovation. Lisa stepped forward. I'll do it, Lisa. No, Jake said. We don't know what this bonding process involves. It could be dangerous. Commander, this is the greatest discovery in human history. An alien intelligence offering to share technology that could save not just our species, but the entire galaxy. The risk is worth it. Zephyra's figure looked sad. The choice must be made freely. I will not force anyone. But know that time is running short. As the swarm stirs in the void, soon they will begin their return journey. Jake looked around the chamber, at the walls that were alive, the technology beyond human understanding, at the alien being who had waited 50,000 years for help. He thought about humanity's greatest strength that Zephora had mentioned. Humans didn't just survive challenges, they learned from them and came back stronger. If we agree to this bonding, Jake said, what happens to us? What happens to humanity? You become more than you were, Zephora replied. And perhaps together, we become something the swarm has never faced before. Something that can not just survive their attack, but stop them forever. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in front of the bonding chamber, her heart beating fast. The alien technology looked like a giant flower made of crystal and living tissue. Soft blue light pulsed through tubes that connected to the ceiling and walls of Zephyr's ship. Are you sure about this? Jake asked for the third time. His face showed worry and fear for his team member. Commander, this is what we came here for, Lisa replied. To explore, to learn, to make contact with alien life. This is bigger than any of us imagined. Sam Rodriguez was studying the chamber with his scanner. The energy readings are stable. Whatever this thing does, it's designed to be safe for living beings. Zephyr's voice spoke around them, gentle and calm. "Dr. Carter, I want you to understand what will happen. When we bond, your mind will touch mine. You will see my memories, feel my emotions, know my thoughts. I will know yours." "Will I still be me?" Lisa asked. "Yes, the bonding does not erase who you are. It adds to who you are. Think of it like learning a new language, except the language is an entire lifetime of experience." Lisa nodded and stepped toward the chamber. The crystal walls opened like petals, revealing a soft surface that looked like it was made for a human body. "Wait," Jake said. "If something goes wrong, how do we stop it?" "The bond can be broken if either person wants it to end," Zephyr explained. "I will not trap Dr. Carter. Trust is the foundation of any successful bonding." Lisa lay down inside the chamber. The surface felt warm and comfortable, like lying on a bed that perfectly fit her body. Crystal formations grew around her, but they didn't touch her. They just surrounded her with gentle light. "I'm ready," Lisa said. The chamber closed softly. Lisa felt a tingling sensation start in her fingers and toes, then spread through her whole body. It wasn't painful, just strange. Like every nerve was waking up at the same time. Then the memories started. Lisa saw Zephyr's world as it used to be. Cities that floated in the sky, connected by bridges of light. People who looked like living. Art, graceful and beautiful, working together to build wonders that defied explanation. She felt Zephyr's childhood, playing in gardens where the flowers sang and the trees danced in the wind. But then came the darkness. The first reports of systems going silent at the edge of their galaxy, ships sent to investigate that never returned. The growing fear, as the void swarms spread closer and closer to the heart of civilization. Lisa experienced the horror of the first swarm attack on a Vorthok world. She watched through Zephyr's eyes as the black creatures consumed everything in their path, not just buildings or people, but the very space they occupied. Where planets once existed, there was nothing. Not empty space, but actual nothingness. That hurt to look at. She felt the desperation of the Vorthok leaders as they realized their weapons were useless. Conventional attacks passed right through the swarm creatures. Energy weapons fed them, making them stronger. Physical barriers meant nothing to beings that could eat the atoms that made up matter itself. Then came the discovery that changed everything. The Vorthok learned that consciousness itself could be used as a weapon against the swarm. Living minds, especially those bonded with advanced technology, could create fields that the swarm couldn't penetrate. Lisa experienced Zephyr's decision. To undergo the bonding process, the fear of losing her physical form, the pain of transformation, and then the incredible expansion of awareness as she became one with her ship. She was still herself, but she was also something more. Her thoughts could control every system. Her emotions could power weapons. Her will could reshape the ship's structure. But with the memories came something unexpected. Lisa began to understand the technology around her in ways that her human education never could have taught her. She saw how the biomechanical systems worked, how consciousness and matter were woven together to create something greater than either could be alone. And then she felt something that surprised both her and Zephyr. Lisa's human mind didn't just accept the alien knowledge, it began to change it to see new possibilities that even 50,000 years of Vorthok wisdom had missed. Interesting, Zephyr's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Your species thinks differently than mine did. Lisa could hear Jake and Sam talking outside the chamber, but their voices seemed far away. She was too busy exploring the incredible new understanding that filled her mind. You see patterns we never noticed, Zephora continued. Your people don't just adapt to new situations. You remake them entirely. Lisa began to see what Zephora meant. The Vorthok had fought the swarm by becoming perfect guardians, unchanging and eternal, but humans didn't become perfect. They became better. They took what existed and improved it. She saw possibilities for the ship's weapons that the original designers had never imagined. Ways to combine human engineering with Vorthok. Biotechnology that could create defenses the swarm had never encountered. The bonding is working better than I hoped, Zephora said. And Lisa could feel the alien's joy mixing with her own excitement. But then the memory shifted to something darker. Lisa saw the final battle against the swarm, the terrible price the Vorthok paid to drive them back. She watched Guardians sacrifice themselves to seal the portals the swarm used to travel between galaxies. She felt Zephyra's pain as her friends and family chose to follow the swarm into the void, knowing they would never return, and she saw the warning signs that meant the swarm was stirring again. They're already moving. Lisa gasped as the chamber opened, and she sat up. Her eyes were glowing with the same blue light that pulsed through the ship's walls. Jake rushed to her side. "Lisa, are you okay? You look different." She did look different. Her movements were more graceful, her eyes brighter, and when she spoke, her voice carried an odd harmony, as if two people were talking at once. "I'm more than okay," Lisa said. "I can see everything now. The ship's systems, the energy flows, the way consciousness and technology work together. But Jake, we don't have much time." "What do you mean?" Lisa stood up, and Jake noticed that she moved with perfect balance, as if she knew exactly where every part of the ship was in relation. To her body, the swarm isn't waiting. Long-range sensors are picking up disturbances at the edge of the galaxy. They're testing the barriers the Vorthok left behind, looking for weak points. Sam's scanner was going crazy as he tried to read Lisa's new energy signature. "Commander, her brain activity is off the charts. It's like she's processing information at superhuman speeds because I am," Lisa said with a smile. "The bonding doesn't just share knowledge. It enhances the human mind's ability to use that knowledge. Sephora, show them what we can do together." The ship around them began to change. Walls flowed like water, reshaping themselves into new configurations. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments, but they looked different now. More organic, more alive, but also more practical than the original Vorthok designs. "This is what human innovation looks like when combined with Guardian technology," Lisa explained. "We don't just preserve what existed, we make it better." Stared at the transformed chamber around them. "Lisa, are you still you?" She looked at him with eyes that held ancient wisdom, but also familiar warmth. "I'm still me, Jake, but I'm also more. If we're going to save the galaxy from what's coming, we're going to need a lot more people to make this choice." Jake Morrison watched in amazement as Lisa worked with the ship's systems. Her hands moved over surfaces that looked solid but changed under her touch, coming control panels and displays that showed information no human had ever seen before. "Weapon systems are incredible," Lisa said, her voice carrying that strange double tone that came from her bond with Zephora. "But they were designed for a different kind of war. The Vorthok fought defensively, trying to hold the line against the swarm. Humans fight differently." Sam Rodriguez was taking readings on everything Lisa touched. "Commander, the energy outputs are increasing across the entire ship. Whatever she's doing, it's making the whole vessel more powerful." "I'm not just making it more powerful," Lisa corrected. "I'm making it smarter." The original Vorthok weapons were designed to destroy swarm creatures. But what if instead of destroying them, we could turn them against each other? Jake felt a chill. "You want to capture swarm creatures? Not capture, convert. The swarm consumes everything, but they have to process what they eat. If we could introduce something into that process, something that changes them from the inside." Zephyr's voice filled the chamber. "This is not something my people ever considered. We saw the swarm as pure evil, something that could only be destroyed or driven away. But humans don't see things that way," Lisa said. "We see problems to be solved. The swarm is just another challenge, and every challenge has a solution." The ship's walls began showing new displays. Jake saw technical drawings that combined human engineering principles with Vorthok biotechnology. The designs looked like nothing he had ever seen before. Weapons that could think for themselves, defenses that adapted in real time, and most amazing of all, devices that could turn the swarm's own consuming nature against them. "This is all theoretical," Jake said. "I don't even know if it would work." "That's where human testing comes in," Lisa replied with a grin that was both familiar and alien. "The Vorthok spent centuries perfecting their designs before they built anything. Humans build prototypes and see what happens." Sam was studying one of the displays that showed a weapon design. "Lisa, this thing you're designing, it's not just a weapon. It's like a virus that infects the swarm and makes them fight each other. Exactly. The swarm's strength is their unity. They all think the same way, act the same way. But what if we could introduce chaos into that unity, to make some of them want different things than the others? Jake realized what Lisa was suggesting. You want to give the swarm individuality. Not exactly. Want to give them conflict. The swarm works because every creature wants the same thing, to consume everything. But if some of them started wanting to consume other swarm creatures instead of everything else, they would tear themselves apart. Zephyr's presence seemed to pulse with excitement. The concept is brilliant. But creating such a weapon would require understanding the swarm's consciousness in ways my people never attempted. Oh, that's because your people were trying to stay pure, Lisa said. They didn't want to contaminate themselves by studying the enemy too closely. Humans don't have that problem. We'll study anything if it helps us win. The ship began to change around them. New chambers grew from the walls, filled with equipment that looked like a combination of laboratory and factory. Jake watched as the ship literally rebuilt itself based on Lisa's enhanced understanding of what they needed. Commander, I need to contact Earth, Lisa said. We need volunteers for the bonding process, and we need them fast. The swarm is moving faster than Zephora expected. Jake felt the weight of command pressing down on him. The decision he made now would affect not just his crew, but all of humanity. What exactly are you asking for? Military personnel, scientists, engineers. People who can handle the bonding process and help develop these new weapons. We need a team that can think like humans but fight with Vorthok technology. And if Earth Command decides this is too dangerous, if they order us to return with the technology instead of sharing it with an alien, Lisa's glowing eyes met his. Then the galaxy dies, Jake. The swarm isn't something humans can fight with current technology. We need this partnership, and we need it now. Sam was examining the new equipment that had grown around them. Commander, some of this technology could revolutionize everything we know about science. Medicine, energy production, space travel, but it's all designed to work with bonded individuals. The technology serves the partnership, Zephyr explained. Without the human Vorthok bond, most of these devices are just interesting objects. With the bond, they become tools that can reshape reality. Jake made his decision. Send the message. To Earth, full disclosure. Tell them what we've found, what's coming, and what we need to do about it. They might not believe it, Sam said. Then we show them. Lisa gestured to the displays around them. Ship can transmit everything we've learned. Every memory, every piece of technology, every warning about the swarm. Earth Command will have to believe it when they see it. As Lisa began working with the ship's communication systems, Jake thought about what they were asking of humanity. The bonding process meant changing what it meant to be human. People who underwent it would become something new, something more than they were before. But they would still be human at their core. And humans had always been good at adaptation. How many people will we need? Jake asked. Hundreds at first, Lisa replied. Thousands eventually. Swarm isn't just a few ships. When they come, they'll bring everything they've consumed for the last 50,000 years. We need to be ready for a war unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. The communication array activated, sending a complex data burst toward Earth. Jake knew that in a few hours, Earth Command would receive the most important message in human history. Everything would change after that. What if they say no? Sam asked. What if Earth decides the risk is too great? Lisa looked at him with eyes that held both human determination and alien wisdom. Then we go back to Earth and convince them, because the alternative isn't losing the war. The alternative is losing everything that ever existed. The ship pulsed around them, responding to Lisa's emotions. Jake could feel the vessel's eagerness for action, its desire to fulfill the purpose it had waited 50,000 years to serve. But now, it wasn't just a Vorthok guardian. It was something new, something that combined ancient wisdom with human innovation. How long do we have? Jake asked. The swarm scouts will reach the outer edge of our galaxy in 6 months, Lisa replied. The main force will follow within 2 years. We need to be ready by then, or everything we know and love will become nothing. Jake nodded. The message was sent. Now they had to wait for humanity's answer. But deep down, he already knew what. That answer would be, humans didn't run from fights, especially when everything was at stake. They adapted, they innovated, and they found ways to win that no one else could imagine. The war for the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity was going to fight it in the most human way possible, by changing the rules completely. 3 months had passed since Jake Morrison sent the message to Earth. The response had been everything he hoped for and more. Earth Command didn't just believe their report about the Void Swarm, they mobilized the entire human space fleet to prepare for the coming war. Now Jake stood on the bridge of what used to be called Horizon's Edge. The ship had grown and changed so much that it barely looked like the vessel they had arrived in. Zephyr's biotechnology had merged with human engineering to create something entirely new. "Commander, we have 37 bonded crew members now," reported Captain Maria Santos, one of the volunteers who had arrived from Earth 2 months ago. Her eyes glowed with the same blue light as Lisa's, marking her as one of the bonded guardians. "And they're all adapting faster than we expected," added Lisa, who had become the bridge between human and Vorthok understanding. "The bonding process is easier for humans than it was for the original Vorthok. We're naturally more flexible." Sam Rodriguez looked up from his engineering station. His bond with the ship's systems had made him into something like a living computer, able to control dozens of complex processes at once. "The weapon systems are ready for testing. We've built prototypes of the Chaos Virus weapons that Lisa designed." Jake nodded. The Chaos Virus was their secret weapon against the swarm. Instead of trying to destroy the creatures directly, it would infect them with conflicting desires that would make them turn on each other. But they had never tested it against real swarm creatures. "Long-range sensors are picking up something," called out Lieutenant Ben Parker from the sensor station. His bond with Zephyr's detection systems let him see farther into space than any human technology could manage. "What is it?" Jake asked. "Dark patches appearing in the Andromeda galaxy. Entire star systems are going silent." Ben's face was grim. "The swarm is testing their strength against the old barriers." Zephyr's voice filled the bridge. "They are learning from their previous defeat. This time they will not charge directly at defended positions. They will probe for weaknesses first." "How long before they find a way through?" Jake asked. "Days, not weeks," Lisa replied after consulting with Zephyr's ancient knowledge. "The barriers my people built were designed to hold for thousands of years, but they were not designed to repair themselves. 50,000 years of cosmic radiation has weakened them." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Humans and Vorthok consciousness working together as one. They had become something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. But were they ready for what was coming? "All ships, prepare for departure," Jake announced. "We're moving to the Galactic barrier." The fleet that followed them was unlike anything in human history. 12 ships that had undergone the same bonding process as Horizon's Edge. Each vessel was a combination of human innovation and Vorthok biotechnology, crewed by volunteers who had accepted the bonding to become something more than human. But Jake knew it might not be enough. The swarm had consumed entire galaxies during their time in the void. They were stronger now than when they had first attacked the Vorthok. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the barrier," Ben reported. "It's weak, but it's definitely coming from one of the old Vorthok Guardian stations." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was tired and filled with pain. "This is Guardian Nexus, last sentinel of the outer barrier. Who dares approach the sealed zone? This is Commander Jake Morrison of the human fleet. We're here to help." There was a long silence. Then the voice came again, stronger this time. "Humans? The young species from the inner spiral? What are you doing here?" "Learning to be guardians," Jake replied. "Just like you. Impossible. Your people lack the discipline for bonding. We have watched you. You are too chaotic, too unpredictable." Lisa stepped forward. "Guardian Nexus, this is Dr. Lisa Carter. I am bonded with Zephyra of the Inner Patrol. We have come to show you what human chaos can accomplish." Another long pause. "Zephyra lives? We thought she was lost in the final battle." "I survived. Zephyr's voice joined the conversation. "And I have found something we never had before. Partners who do not just preserve what exists, but improve upon it."
Oh.
"Show us," Guardian Nexus demanded. The human fleet moved toward the barrier, and Jake could see what 50,000 years of cosmic erosion had done. What had once been an impenetrable wall of energy was now full of gaps and weak points. Dark shapes moved in the spaces beyond, testing each weakness. "They're already here," Jake whispered. "Not here," Lisa corrected, "but close. The scouts are probing the barrier from the other side." "All ships, deploy the new weapons," Jake ordered. "Let's see if human engineering can fix what time has broken." The bonded ships spread out along the barrier. Their crews worked together in perfect harmony, human creativity guided by Vorthok knowledge. They began to repair the gaps in the ancient wall, but not with the same technology the original builders had used. Human modifications made the barrier stronger. Instead of just keeping the swarm out, the new sections could analyze anything that touched them. They learned from each contact, adapting to become more effective against future attacks. "Impressive," Guardian Nexus admitted. "Your repairs are more flexible than our original design." "That's what humans do," Sam called out from his station. "We don't just fix things, we make them better." But even as they worked, the probing attacks from the other side grew stronger. Dark tentacles of pure nothingness pushed against the barrier, testing each new repair. "They know we're here," Ben reported. "The swarm is concentrating their efforts on our section of the barrier." "Good," Jake said. "Let them come. Time to test the chaos virus." The first swarm scout broke through a weakened section of the barrier. It was unlike anything in the human database of known life forms. The creature was made of living darkness that consumed light itself. Where it passed, stars dimmed, and space itself seemed to curl inward. "Fire the chaos virus," Jake ordered. Lisa's specially designed weapon launched from their ship, instead of an explosion or energy beam. It looked like a cloud of glowing particles that surrounded the swarm creature. For a moment, nothing happened. The scout continued its advance toward the nearest star system. Then it stopped. The creature began to writhe and twist as if fighting against itself. Parts of its dark mass started attacking other parts. The unified purpose that drove all swarm creatures was breaking down. "It's working," Lisa said with excitement. "The virus is making it want to consume itself instead of everything else." Their celebration was short-lived. More scouts were breaking through the barrier. Dozens of them. And behind them, Jake could see something that made his blood run cold. The main swarm force was moving toward their galaxy, a cloud of darkness so vast it blotted out entire star fields. "All ships fall back to the secondary line," Jake ordered. "We've learned what we needed to know. The weapons work, but we need more of them." As the human fleet retreated, Guardian Nexus sent one final message. "Humans, your chaos may be exactly what this galaxy needs. But are you ready for a war that will consume everything you have ever known?" Jake looked at his crew, at the humans, who had chosen to become something more than human for the sake of their species and their galaxy. "We're as ready as we'll ever be. The swarm is about to learn what happens when they threaten a species that never learned how to give up." The battle for humanity's survival began at dawn on a Tuesday. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, now called Synthesis, watching as the void swarm poured through the broken barriers like a tide of living darkness. The enemy force was larger than anything the ancient Vorthok had ever faced. "Swarm scouts have entered the outer system," reported Ben Parker, his enhanced senses tracking hundreds of dark shapes moving between the planets. "Main force is 12 hours behind." Then Jake looked at the tactical display. Red dots representing swarm creatures filled the screen like a plague of locusts. But scattered among them were blue dots, showing the positions of the human-bonded fleet. "All ships, remember the plan," Jake broadcast to the fleet. "We're not trying to destroy them all. We're trying to turn them against each other." Lisa Carter worked at her station, coordinating the deployment of chaos virus weapons across the fleet. Her bond with Zephora had grown stronger over the months, making her into something that was both fully human and fully Vorthosh at the same time. "First wave of virus weapons deployed," she announced. "Impact in 30 seconds. Jake watched the screen as clouds of glowing particles spread among the swarm scouts. For a moment, the enemy formation continued its advance unchanged. Then chaos erupted. The infected swarm creatures began attacking each other instead of moving toward human worlds. Dark tentacles that had been reaching for planets suddenly turned on nearby scouts. The unified advance became a swirling battle as the virus spread from creature to creature. "It's working better than we hoped," Sam Rodriguez called out from his engineering station. "The virus is spreading faster through the swarm network than our simulations predicted." But Jake knew this was only the beginning. The scouts were just the advance force. The real test would come when the main swarm army arrived. "Commander, we're getting reports from the inner colonies," Ben announced. "Some of the infected scouts are breaking away from the battle. They're fleeing back toward the barrier." "Good," Jake said. "Let them run. They'll carry the virus back to the main force." Zephyr's voice filled the bridge. "This strategy would never have occurred to my people. We saw retreat as failure, but you see it as another weapon." "Everything is a weapon if you use it right," Jake replied, including the enemy's own strength. The hours passed quickly as the human fleet continued their hit-and-run attacks. They would strike at swarm formations with virus weapons. Watch. The chaos spread. Then retreat before the uninfected creatures could organize a response. But Jake knew their luck wouldn't last forever. The swarm was learning too, adapting their tactics to counter the human strategy. "Commander, the main force has arrived," Ben announced, "and they've changed formation. They're staying spread out, preventing the virus from jumping between groups." Jake studied the new formation on his display. The swarm had learned to fight the chaos virus by limiting its ability to spread. They were still vulnerable to direct infection, but now each attack would only affect a small number of creatures. "Time for Phase 2, Jake announced. To all ships, move to close combat formation. We're going to show them what humans do when Plan A doesn't work. We try Plan B." Lisa finished with a grin that was both human and alien. The human fleet charged directly at the swarm main force. It looked like suicide. 12 ships against thousands of dark creatures that could consume entire star systems. But Jake had learned something important during the months of preparation. Humans didn't fight. Like any other species in the galaxy, they didn't just adapt to their enemies. They forced their enemies to adapt to them. All ships released the nanobots. Jake ordered from each human ship. Clouds of microscopic machines spread into space. But these weren't weapons. They were builders, programmed with human engineering knowledge and powered by Vorthok biotechnology. As the nanobots spread through the battle zone, they began to construct something the swarm had never encountered before. Structures that looked like spider webs made of light, stretching between planets and moons. "What are those things?" demanded the voice of a swarm commander, speaking through one of the captured scout creatures. "The future," Jake replied. "You consume everything you touch." "But what if there was something you couldn't touch?" The light webs began to pulse with energy. Any swarm creature that came near them found their consuming power turned back on themselves. The webs didn't just resist the swarm's attack. They fed on it, growing stronger with each attempt to break them. "Impossible," the swarm commander hissed. "Nothing can resist consumption." "You're right," Lisa said, taking over the communication. "Nothing can resist it. But something can redirect it. Those webs are made of controlled chaos, the same force that powers our virus weapons. You can consume them, but they just use that energy to make more of themselves." Jake watched as the tide of battle began to turn. The swarm creatures found themselves trapped in a maze of light webs that grew stronger every time they were attacked. Worse, the chaos virus continued to spread through their ranks, turning their own unity against them. "All human ships, final phase," Jake announced. The bonded crews of the human fleet began to sing. It was something they had discovered during training. It's a harmony that emerged when human voices joined with Vorthok consciousness. The song spread through space itself, carried by the same forces that powered their weapons. The song was pure chaos, pure human unpredictability set to music. And it was beautiful. The remaining swarm creatures began to change. Instead of consuming everything they touched, they started to create. The song awakened something in their dark minds that had been sleeping for eons. They remembered what they had been before they became the swarm. "We were builders once," the swarm commander whispered, its voice filled with wonder and pain. "Before the hunger took us, we created beautiful things." "You can create again," Jake said. "The chaos virus doesn't just make you fight each other. It gives you back the ability to choose." One by one, the swarm creatures stopped their attack. Some fled back to the void between galaxies. Others began to use their consuming power to build instead of destroy, creating new structures from the matter they had eaten. "The battle is over," Ben announced. "The swarm is retreating." But Jake knew it was more than that. The swarm, as a unified force of pure destruction, was finished. The chaos virus had given them back the individuality they had lost. And individuals could choose to be something other than monsters. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy," Sam reported. "Other species are asking about the bonding process. They want to become guardians too." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew, humans who had chosen to become something more than human to save the galaxy. Now other species would make the same choice. "Looks like we're going to be busy," he said. Lisa smiled, her glowing eyes bright with hope. "Good. The galaxy needs guardians who understand that the best way to preserve something is to help it grow and change." Zephyr's voice joined the conversation. "My people spent 50,000 years preparing for this day. What we prepared for? The wrong battle. We thought we needed to stay unchanged to win. You showed us that the real victory comes from helping others change too." Jake nodded. The war was over, but the work was just beginning. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers and partners. They would help other species learn to adapt, to innovate, to become something more than they were. The Void Swarm was no longer a threat to the galaxy, but more importantly, the galaxy itself was no longer the same. It had learned to fight back against the forces of pure destruction by embracing the most powerful force in the universe, change itself.